I think number of merchants had reached approximately 2,000 जबकि hardly 500 थे 2016-2017 में और अभी भी as we stand कोई 7,000 merchants हैं. लाहौर Chamber of Commerce and Industry की ज़रूर एक IT कमेटी होगी और IT will be split into 3 or 4 different committees as well कि IT services भी होती हैं. I think इसकी 2-3 और वजह है when you talk about people setting up companies in places like Dubai and Singapore. I mean that also has applied to startups and this is what startups are now advising to do to get lots of foreign funding that too in dollars. और ये पहली दफ़ा आई थिंक हमारे मुल्क की हिस्ट्री में इस तरह की प्राइवेट स्टेक होल्डर ग्रुप ने इतना हाई प्रोफाइल गेस्ट को बुलाया बिकॉज द लाहौर चेंबर प्रेसिडेंट एक्चुअली हैज़ द पावर टू इम्पैक्ट लेजिस्लेशन एंड चेंज क्योंकि उनकी जो रिकमेंडेशंस हैं वो सीधा CM और PM को जाती है.
Assalamu alaikum viewers, my name is Umair Arshad. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Hive Metrics. ECommerce podcast series is brought to you by Feature Fest. There were so many aspects which we were discussing in the previous podcast. Unme se, we felt the need to call somebody and to request a person to come, a guest to come, and we should be speaking about the stakeholders of stakeholders in e-commerce. Today we have a guest with us. He's the director at Ailaaj and Fazaldeen Group. But today we will be speaking about so many other things as well. His contribution to Future Fest, his contribution to the e-commerce industry, his contribution and association with Lahore Chamber of Commerce Industry and Pakistan E-commerce Consortium, how we can make this particular domain and industry better, and what should be the norms to it and procedures to it. Today we have a guest with us. His name is Bilal Mumtaz. Assalamu alaikum Bilal, कैसे हैं आप?
बिल्कुल ठीक, आप सुनाएं. How are you?
Bilal Saab, thank you very much for coming today. We tried to get in touch with you. We set up a few times, लेकिन हम लोग we couldn't meet. So आज आप इधर हैं, and I'm thankful to you on the behalf of Future Fest. We'll begin from here. A short, brief introduction of Bilal Mumtaz, and then we drive our conversation to the topic.
ठीक है. So thank you for having me on your show. I'm actually by career a seasoned health tech entrepreneur. 2014 में जब मैं वापस आया था यूनिवर्सिटी से तब मेरी जो फैमिली थी जो ऑलरेडी बिजनेस में इन्वॉल्व थी पहले से हेल्थ केयर स्पेस में एंड दैट टू फ्रॉम अ फ्यू वर्टिकल्स नॉट जस्ट वन सो वी वर immersed in pharmaceutical manufacturing and we were running around 12 branches of pharmacies by the Fazaldeen and Sons banner up to a certain point और उसके अलावा मेडिकल डिवाइस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इम्पोर्ट्स भी करते हैं पाकिस्तान में. So there came a time when we decided collectively as not the essential entire group, but just my father and my elder brothers to venture into tech. तो इसलिए हमने ये फैसला किया कि हम पाकिस्तान की सबसे पहली ऑनलाइन फार्मेसी शुरू करेंगे. And we ended up doing that in 2014. That was aptly named Sehat. So we branded it differently. We wanted to carry a new brand and make that known as a household name with enough diligent hard work through the years. तो ऐसा हुआ कि 2014 हमने इसको लॉन्च किया. Then around a year later we started getting a lot of traction more towards our B2B and corporate sector that saw a need for a very formalized way of buying medicines as opposed to dealing with multiple papers in terms of receipts and documentation. This was ideal as a one-stop shop for them to order medicines for their employees. Everything was, they could get digital receipts, they could download these things. A lot of these tools are available online और seamlessly उनको medicine deliver भी की जाती थी. A year later from that, we reached a milestone through our B2C website where we were able to successfully deliver medicines to 270 cities all over Pakistan. तो ये milestone even top e-commerce sites भी achieve नहीं कर सकती थी. और what made it even the more impressive was the fact that we barely had a marketing budget when we were operating. It was bootstrapped. और bootstrap हमने किया मज़ीद 5 सालों के लिए. So the operation was for the most part bootstrapped for 7 years. तो हमने एक decision लेनी पड़ी. 2021 COVID had happened. A lot more people were using online websites and shopping, for goods online in general. जो even State Bank of Pakistan के stats है वो ये बताते हैं कि turn बिल्कुल कोविड से पहले I think number of merchants had reached approximately 2,000 जबकि hardly 500 थे 2016 2017 में और अभी भी as we stand कोई 7,000 merchants है. So, that is growing steadily at around 20 to 30%, as is the value and volume of transactions on a yearly basis. So we had a decision to make. हमारी फैमिली में एक और मतलब बल्कि मेरे अपने सगे भाई ने एक SaaS प्लेटफॉर्म शुरू किया था telemedicine के लिए. And that was primarily a software-based platform, but it did have a B2C facing element in the teleconsultations that it would provide to the end customer. उन्होंने उसको aptly name किया था Instant Doctor, क्योंकि ये मॉडल था कि उनके अपने पेरोल डॉक्टर्स हैं प्लेटफॉर्म पे, and within mere 7 minutes, one could use the app and get connected with a doctor within that short amount of time. And then once the consultation would end, he would get a detailed report about his diagnoses and the prescription and any other vital information. तो दोनों प्लेटफॉर्म्स को हमने मर्ज किया था और ये टू डेट पाकिस्तान की सबसे पहली और वाहिद स्टार्टअप मर्जर रही. And with that merger ensuing, we decided to rename the merged entity to Ailaaj. So Sehat on one end, the e-pharmacy arm, Augmentcare the other, and telemedicine. We merged them both and it became Ailaaj. So that is essentially the journey as a health tech entrepreneur in Pakistan.
बट ये सारा कुछ तो फजलदीन के अंडर भी हो सकता था बिकॉज फजलदीन हैज़ अ वेरी गुड स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड इन द मार्केट. सो व्हाई व्हाट वाज द नीड टू इंट्रोड्यूस Ailaaj.com and what is the niche of the Ailaaj.com?
So it's very simple. So when the main Fazaldeen group is not really the way it used to be. Ultimately, जिस तरह आपने ज़रूर ये stat देखी होगी कि 70% of family businesses ultimately fail after the third generation or further. And though I wouldn't say the Fazaldeen group itself is a failed entity, it was never really a clearly defined unified entity to begin with, because there were certain ventures laid out in the beginning when our forefathers started the business that were supposed to involve all the family members. But then it happened in such a way that those mere two ventures then got operationally controlled by one or two families. People went their separate ways. And hence, there was never really a unified group to create an e-pharmacy or telemedicine platform to begin with. So we had to take that step, just like another family member had taken a step to create Fazaldeen Pharma Plus, which has around 100 plus pharmacies in all of Punjab. कभी इस तरह की unified entity नहीं थी जिससे हम tech ventures बना सकते थे. Like Fazaldeen Pharma Plus is a clear example. It was started by my ताया और अब वो काफ़ी तरक्की कर रही है पूरे पंजाब में, जिसमें उनके 100 से ज़ायद ब्रांचेस ऑपरेट हो रही है, and most of which are franchises. So that in a nutshell is why we had to take a stand and try to expand our current portfolio as a single unit of a family, not the entire group, into the online space.
Tell us something about the experience of, since you've been associated with Future Fresh from a long time right now, and last I remember कि आपने जो है ground table e-commerce करवाई थी with the Association of Pakistani E-commerce Consortium and Lahore Chamber of Commerce Industry. What felt the need to hold such roundtable conference and what was the outcome of it?
The need had to do with a few pressing issues that have always been at the forefront of e-commerce, especially among the players over here. तो अक्सर सिर्फ हम ई कॉमर्स प्लेयर्स की वो ग्रीवेंसेस नहीं सुनते हैं, हम आप जैसे आईटी सर्विसेज वालों को भी मतलब ग्रीवेंसेस सुनकर एक हायर बॉडी को पिच करना चाहते हैं. सो टैक्सेशन एंड हाउ दैट शुड बी इंश्योर्ड वाज वन प्रेसिंग इशू. The still basically very pressing matter of financial remittances, how are freelancers making money, and how can that come into the country? That is still a very pressing issue to begin with, because अभी भी आप मतलब डॉलर्स में कमा सकते हैं, लेकिन डॉलर्स कैसे निकाल सकते हैं पाकिस्तान में? That is something that not just one institution but multiple institutions have to bring on probably a greater forum. So apart from that, there was also the very crux of the matter of how to register a certain company based on the type of IT services you're providing, and that is related to the taxation that ensues as well. तो ये तीन मेन इश्यूज को सामने लेकर हमारा जो चीफ गेस्ट था इवेंट का, द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ द लाहौर चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री काशिफ अनवर, उन्होंने ये बातें सुनी और गौर भी किया था, एंड ही वाज very much adamant in trying to alleviate these issues that are persisted for a very long time. और ये पहली दफ़ा I think हमारे मुल्क की हिस्ट्री में इस तरह की प्राइवेट स्टेक होल्डर ग्रुप ने इतना हाई प्रोफाइल गेस्ट को बुलाया, बिकॉज द लोअर चेंबर प्रेसिडेंट एक्चुअली हैज़ द पावर टू इम्पैक्ट लेजिस्लेशन एंड चेंज, क्योंकि उनकी जो रिकमेंडेशंस है वो सीधा CM और PM को जाती है इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए.
But what do you think, Bilal, when we speak about software houses, when we speak about IT, when we speak about e-commerce service providers, the brands, the businesses, but I won't speak about the brands and businesses because वो कहीं ना कहीं पे register होते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं पे वो SECP, PRA की body से associated और registered होने की वजह से उनको उनके लिए guidelines easy होती है. E-commerce उनका just एक part होता है जो basically उसी की अंदर ही वो behave कर रहा होता है. When we speak about software houses and IT industry, which is the awarding body to it? When where we look forward to bring our suggestions, questions, and how to make it better.
आपकी एक बहुत वैलिड पॉइंट है. देखो, नेशनल ई-कॉमर्स काउंसिल तो टेक्निकली आपका ऑफिशियल बॉडी है जो इन चीज़ों को देखती है, एंड दैट फॉल्स अंडर द ई-कॉमर्स विंग, जो एक टेक्निकली एक सब डिवीजन है मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स की. तो इसलिए जब रज़ाक दाऊद हम आपके कॉमर्स मिनिस्टर थे, तो वो बहुत इस तरह की मीटिंग्स होल्ड करते थे, एंड एट दैट टाइम देयर वाज दिस रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ PTI फ्रॉम मुल्तान हु वाज टेक्निकली फर्स्ट ई-कॉमर्स नॉट मिनिस्टर बट इन चार्ज. तो आई थिंक सॉफ्टवेयर हाउसेस के लिए जहाँ तक मुझे में पंजाब IT बोर्ड एंड द रिलेटिव IT बॉडीज़ इन पाकिस्तान शुड बी एबल टू लेंड अ हैंड, क्योंकि मेरा सच इसमें एक्सपीरियंस इतना नहीं रहा, लेकिन शायद आप बेहतर बता सकते कि आपने किन बॉडी से मतलब
I feel the gap is this. I feel the gap is this कि जब कोई सॉफ्टवेयर हाउस बन रहा है जो IT की अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं, हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हम कंपनी रजिस्टर करा लेते हैं, लेकिन वो जो हमारी सर्विसेज रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, सर्विसेज रिलेटेड जो हमारी ग्रोथ है, वी डोंट नो वेयर टू स्पीक and whom to speak with, and there should be seminars, and there should definitely, I believe, होते हैं ऐसे seminars, but I haven't ever heard of it, and I've been in industry from a very long time.
हाँ.
So if I want to go and search, अब उसमें Google करने पे online, I will find so many bodies, but I don't know which exactly body do I or my business fall in.
So there's probably a few options over there. Lahore Chamber of Commerce and Industry की ज़रूर एक IT committee होगी, और IT will be split into 3 or 4 different committees as well, कि IT services भी होती हैं, फिर इनकी अपनी IT awards की वैसे कमेटी होती है, and then there's IT exports as well. I think Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, if one can tap into them, that will also be a good platform where you just talk about the trade of IT. फिर अगर skills training भी आप जाएँ तो TEFTA एक ऐसे इदारा exist करती है where you talk about how skills training or those sorts of services of the like would fall under such things.
Which biggest stakeholder do you think that in upcoming Future Fest, if we together do a roundtable conference, सही है, for the e-commerce and IT and software houses, सबसे पहला सवाल तो मेरा ये कि which stakeholder body को हमें बुलाना चाहिए?
I think the one most relevant to IT per se should be PASHA, Pakistan Software Houses Association.
यार, but I think I disagree to that. ठीक है ना, I'm talking on record. ठीक है,
हाँ, ठीक है,
पाशा से मैं on record बात कर रहे हैं हम. ठीक है, पाशा से I disagree. पाशा एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनी, पाशा एक बॉडी बनी, ठीक हो गया, बट उसका डायरेक्टिव क्या है?
आप बता सकते, क्योंकि मैंने कभी सॉफ्टवेयर हाउस नहीं चलाई.
पाशा is serving its own directive.
Okay.
I mean, this is not about Pasha. Let's not discuss it. But since you mentioned it, तो I exclude Pasha because Pasha का जो एजेंडा है वो उसका अपना एजेंडा, उसके अपने डायरेक्टिव से. हम बात कर रहे हैं मेजोरिटी के लिए. जब हम मेजोरिटी के लिए बात कर रहे हैं, people those who are in e-commerce, those who want to be part of e-commerce. So like you're saying, like let's
say for example, they have no directive. Like Pakistan e-commerce consortium का एक वाहिद डायरेक्टिव ये है to get all the stakeholders together and at least have a voice. तो आप कह रहे हैं पाशा का भी इस तरह का voice नहीं है?
नहीं है ऐसा voice है. Unfortunately होगी, मुझे नहीं पता. But as far as I am, as far as my knowledge, पाशा events करवाता है. पाशा is more into events. Events में करना, लोगों को बुलाना. This is how to make money for an event based company. But I don't get one thing कि हमने मेजोरिटी की कैसे फायदा, विजन क्या है, एजेंडा क्या है. मतलब आम बंदे के लिए आईटी में हम आईटी के बंदों की बात कर रहे हैं कि आईटी कंपनीज की बात कर रहे हैं कि उनको क्या फायदा है, क्यों करना चाहिए. सो कमिंग बैक टू माय क्वेश्चन, व्हाट डू यू थिंक कि अगर हम ई कॉमर्स राउंड टेबल ई कॉमर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस करवाते हैं तो कौन सी स्टेक होल्डर है जिसे हमें बुलाना चाहिए, फिर हम आगे बढ़ते हैं?
उसमें मेरी ये सोच है कि वी शुड बी डेफिनेटली कॉलिंग पीपल फ्रॉम द नेशनल लेवल. अगर नेशनल लेवल के नहीं हो सकते हैं तो दी provincial even or even local जो सबसे top bodies है, you invite them across these following industries. या आप IT के specific board या जिस तरह IT minister हो गए उनको बुला लें, या commerce minister को बुला लें, या आप local chamber को भी बुला सकते हैं, or even if it's not the local chamber, you can invite even the FPCCI.
I think we should, I think we should call State Bank of Pakistan.
Okay, I was going to that. You can even call the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan या State Bank of Pakistan को बुलाएं. मेरी अपनी ज़ाती सोच है कि शायद State Bank of Pakistan के हेड सबसे मुनासिब होंगे, क्योंकि State Bank of Pakistan, even SECP का भी आप कर सकते हैं चेयरमैन, बट State Bank of Pakistan फिल वक्त वाहिद अथॉरिटी है और इंस्टीट्यूशन है जो फ्रीक्वेंटली ECommerce के बारे में और IT के बारे में डाटा पब्लिश करती हैं.
Now the question is why? We both agree that yes, we should work together to do a roundtable
I just
conference.
told you why I think that. It's
Yes.
because to my knowledge, if you even look up any data, SPP will have it, others will not.
देखें, the biggest problem जो मैं अब बात करूंगा sitting in IT software company की perspective से, the biggest problem which we are facing is कि how we are exporting IT. Job हो गई, done. How to import dollars? How to import dollars? Now State Bank will answer our all questions. Now we need to ask State Bank, why don't we have PayPal? Why don't we have Stripe? How will we bring our dollars back? ठीक है, अब इस जो डॉलर की इन्फ्लेशन के चक्कर के अंदर हुआ क्या कि हमने अपने सारे डॉलर्स बाहर रखे. जब मुल्क में डॉलर की ज़रूरत थी तब हमारा डॉलर बाहर बैठा हुआ था, क्योंकि उसमें स्टेट बैंक विल आंसर अवर क्वेश्चन कि स्टेट बैंक ने FC अकाउंट के ऊपर भी तो सैंक्शंस लगाए हुए, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट ईजी. यू कैन जस्ट उठ के अब आप अपने FC अकाउंट खुलवा सकते हैं. तो पेमेंट is the topic which needs to be discussed, and then State Bank will be it will be easy. It's good when it comes from State Bank of Pakistan. तो स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान को बुलाया जाए, उनसे राउंड टेबल E-commerce कॉन्फ्रेंस करवाई जाए, हम उसको ऑर्गेनाइज करें. उसके बाद हम एक्चुअली में जो मेजर पार्ट होता है वो प्ले करें कि हम किन लोगों को बुलाएं. बिकॉज एक तरफ से अगर बॉडी में स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान को बुला के अगर बात की जा रही है तो यहाँ से किन लोगों की प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, किन के प्रॉब्लम्स बड़े हैं और जिनके प्रॉब्लम्स वाकई में उनके प्रॉब्लम्स के सोल्यूशन निकलते हैं, तो उनके अंडर अम्ब्रेला में बाकी सब लोगों के प्रॉब्लम के सोल्यूशन निकल आते हैं. तो आई थिंक पेमेंट इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट.
And the thing is that they know what the problems are because they're compiling data on it to begin with. And आपसे भी एक बहुत pertinent सवाल है मेरा, if you don't mind, like
yes please.
Traditional businesses भी काफ़ी hit हुई है स्टेट बैंक रेगुलेशन की वजह से, क्योंकि सिर्फ LCs खोलने से आप सामान मतलब मुल्क के अंदर मंगवा सकते हैं. And then the banks have the limitations how many dollars they have already. With a software house, that might not apply to you. You can probably do direct dealing with your client, but इसमें I believe cross-border transactions का cap उन्हें रखा है $30,000 का. So how has that affected you?
Yes, this is the reason I was speaking about the payments. देखिए सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम मेरे लिए ये है, जब मैं अपने लिए कह रहा हूँ, मेरे लिए मतलब I am running a business and I'm doing an online business per person, not per business, per person. एक ये सबसे बड़ा जो है प्रॉब्लम है वो ये है कि $30,000 से ज़्यादा you won't be able to spend on. अच्छा, इसमें उन्होंने जो $30,000 की जो सैंक्शन $30,000 की जो कंडीशन लगाई है, वो कंडीशन ये है जिसमें आप अगर करेंसी भी एक्सचेंज करते हैं, जिसमें आप फॉरेन ट्रैवल भी करते हैं, तो इसमें जो आप स्वाइप करते हैं वो भी आ जाता है. अगर आपका कार्ड आपके बिजनेस पे ऑफशोर कंपनीज में स्वाइप हो रहा है, ठीक है, तो सारा इंक्लूड हो जाता है. नाउ
That includes Facebook advertising as well.
That means Facebook, that means Google, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, Google, Shopify. Even you are swiping using your cards on so many other applications as well, because ये सारी international product है. हाँ, अब उसका एक हल मुझे नज़र आता है when it comes to social media platforms, वहाँ पे तो नहीं, लेकिन हम फिर ऐसे products यूज़ करना शुरू कर दें जो कि पाकिस्तानी बेस्ड products हैं, तो हमारा मसला होता है. But this is the major impact. अच्छा, अब why was this decision taken? We don't know it. ठीक है, okay, but it has been imposed so that we agree to it. But then where is the solution? Because अगर देखा जाए तो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है, मुझे ये समझ नहीं आती. सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये है जिसके लिए कौन क्या कर रहा है हमें समझ नहीं आ रही है कि ट्रेडर्स के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं आप. ट्रेडिंग कर, हम IT की ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं ना, हमारे लिए आप क्या कर रहे हैं. वी आर ब्रिंगिंग डॉलर्स, फॉर गॉड सेक हम डॉलर्स लेके आ रहे हैं कंट्री के अंदर, और हम एक दो बंदे की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, पूरी फर्टिलिटी की बात कर रहे हैं. और आप उनके ऊपर जब सैंक्शंस लगा देंगे, हाउ विल वी एक्सपैंड अवर बिजनेस, बिकॉज सेल्स फोर्स पे भी आपने कार्ड लगना है. अच्छा, इसके लिए आपने फिर आप इसके लिए कंपनीज ने क्या करना शुरू कर दिया, दे स्टार्टेड रजिस्टरिंग देयर बिजनेसेस इन दुबई, और वहाँ से वहाँ के कार्ड इंट्रोड्यूस करके यू विल बी स्पेंडिंग, एंड वो 30,000 कैप वाला जो है मसला वहाँ से रिजॉल्व होता है. बट उसके अगेंस्ट फिर सारा पैसा भी तो दुबई में सेव होना शुरू हो गया है.
But I think इसकी दो तीन और वजूहत है. When you talk about people setting up companies in places like Dubai and Singapore, I mean that also has applied to startups, and this is what startups are now advising to do to get lots of foreign funding, that too in dollars. Because अभी तक I think हमारे मुल्क की perception अभी तक सही नहीं हुई दुनिया में. So that's, that explains why, startups are doing this. But that also probably explains why we're having such draconian policies in, financial upkeep
What are
and all
your
that.
future plans, Bilal?
Future plans. Future plans, though, ye hai कि I want to focus now on just having a very good roundtable at Future Fest. जो आपकी suggestions है, we're talking about the governor of State Bank of Pakistan as a potential chief guest. I think he is the right person. क्योंकि जो भी मतलब grievances हमने भी डाली थी पिछले राउंड टेबल में, वो सारा कुछ फाइनेंशियल रिलेटेड है. Taxation, financial remittances, how softwares are getting exported, how even, companies are getting registered. उसमें बहुत एक financial element है. And then apart from that, right, I'm giving my time in to Ailaaj, looking more over at legal and compliance matters, especially towards the pharmaceutical space. And apart from that, ज़्यादा तो मैं time आजकल दे रहा हूँ family business में, which is focused on medical device imports. And State Bank naturally is an institution that has, changed sort of the landscape based on the recent policies that they've put out. Uske alawa, I think that when you look at other industries in Pakistan, I think e-commerce mein, sports या tourism में definitely एक player तो आना चाहिए, because the northern areas have started to experience a surge in tourism over the past year and a half. और ये भी हम देखते हैं कि despite the fact that economically हमारी cost of imports भी ऊपर जा रही है, coming from gas to petrol to electricity, still there are people who see more of a reason to travel up north than to travel abroad, and that is a very encouraging factor to me. And as part of Future Fest, we, I think, as participants, have this duty to uphold to promote every sort of aspect of our culture in a very positive light.
Well, that's good. That's good. Great. I wish you best of the luck. Bilal, my last question to you is this. What is your message to the youth? You being the director of Ailaaj, what is the message do you want to send the youth? How to empower them, and how to motivate them so that they can become an asset of this nation?
Of course. So there is no doubt, if you talk to anybody in the country, especially your elders, that this is the worst period that Pakistan has ever gone through. It's unprecedented in terms of inflation, in terms of rising costs, in terms of even sanctions that have been put onto businesses, even yours, to operate over here. But do keep in mind that we are the fourth largest freelancing market in the world. I was recently reading a stat today that banking mobile apps की growth हो रही है 135% year on year, और desktop की भी हो रही है 60% year on year. So we as a nation, believe it or not, possibly within the next 5 years, will complete more financial transactions digitally than through cash. And ultimately, I'd like to quote the founder of Future Fest, Aziz Azam, when I asked him, what's so special about tech in general? So उन्होंने ये कहा था, look, the way the landscape has been in Pakistan for doing business, as is the case with a lot of countries, especially in the developing world, is that one can only be successful in business if he does things underhandingly, if he focuses on connections rather than merit, if he tries to bend the rules, if he plays dishonestly. But what tech has done in a country like Pakistan with 200 million people is it's given everyone a level playing field. क्योंकि tech, अगर आप tech का business चलाते हैं तो आप dishonestly किसी को terms commit नहीं कर सकते हैं. You cannot do anything underhandedly because everything is transparent. You have to play on your integrity, and that is how we have a nation of progress in tech. We could not have done it through what our stereotype, you could say, would entail us to do. We did it because of the sheer grit and hard work and intelligence that we as a nation possess. And the more these sorts of events are promoted, the more future techies like yourself can come about. And I think it's our duty to pass on that wisdom to them and to tell them that yes, it's amazing, it'll give you a good livelihood, but the biggest benefit is that you're painting a positive image for the nation, and hopefully all of us can do that on whatever platform is given to us.
Well, thank you very much, Bilal, for coming today. It was lovely hosting you. We wish you best of the luck.
Thank you.
And the message which you shared for the youth, it's quite inspiring. I think together as a nation, we should be focused on these things, and I think we should always be speaking about youth empowerment, because again, ये एक asset है हमारा, ये हमारा एक असास है, बस इसकी direction सही करनी है. Thank you very much. Take care. Allah
Thank you.
Hafiz.